So, today we're going to talk about some of the big changes that have arrived with Warzone Season 4's Reloaded patch, or the mid-season patch. Infinity Ward dropped quite a few interesting notes for this update, along with lots of new content as well, which is awesome. But there's some sneaky attachment changes thrown in there as well that really change up how some of the weapons are going to be playing moving forwards, and it's an attachment that lots of people like to use. I'm going to try and break down as much of this patch for you so you can be bang up to date with the changes and you can adjust some of your weapons and loadouts for the better. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well for more Warzone content and gameplay coming up soon. Around 65% of viewers on this channel are currently unsubscribed, so hit that subscribe button to get more awesome Warzone videos in your sub box. Okay then, we'll start off with probably the biggest talking point of this Warzone update, and that is the GRAU nerf. It's been a long time coming, and pretty much since Warzone first dropped, the GRAU has been a weapon that people have used for its insane controllability and damage at range. Infinity Ward has finally made some changes to the GRAU, but in my experience so far, I just can't really feel that a huge amount has really changed with this weapon. Let me tell you what Infinity Ward is telling us has been changed. There's been a damage range reduction, and this was to help bring the GRAU back a little bit closer towards the rest of the assault rifles and the ranges that they work in, rather than being able to outclass pretty much any other weapon in the game bar sniper rifles at long range. Second, there's been a slight increase to high-frequency recoil, and this means that you shouldn't just be able to hold down mouse button 1 anymore and land every single shot at range. Now in my testing, this can still very easily happen, and I can't really feel the change that Infinity Ward has made here. I play on PC, so vertical recoil control is comparatively easy. All I have to do is pull down on the mouse and it negates it, but controller players, you might feel a little bit differently, so let me know down in the comments. And then thirdly, both the Archangel and the Nexus barrels, they've had their recoil compensation and damage range reduced, and that slightly decreases the overall effectiveness of those attachment options. I personally don't feel this quote-unquote nerf has gone anywhere near far enough. It leaves the GRAU as still the most controllable and lethal assault rifle in Warzone. That might be good news for some of you out there, but personally, I would have liked to have seen a more aggressive nerf to the GRAU to bring it right down next to weapons like the Ram 7 and the Kilo, and that would help to elevate the rest of the assault rifles in the pecking order and bring a better overall balance to the assault rifle category. So, Infinity Ward, if you're listening, the GRAU needs more work. It's still too good in my opinion. Next up, another meta weapon nerf, this time the MP5. Infinity Ward went all in on this weapon as well, but they mainly stuck to reducing the effectiveness of the 10mm rounds and the MP5 when those are equipped, as opposed to the entire weapon layout here. One change that was applied to the overall weapon was a flat damage range reduction, bringing it closer in line with other SMGs and hopefully stopping players using it over longer range as if it were a closer range assault rifle of sorts. But the 10mm rounds, those have had their damage range reduced, as well as a harsher recoil increase applied when using 10mm rounds, and I think that's to emphasize their greater power overall. Personally, I'm a user of the 45 round standard ammo magazine, so this change isn't a major one overall, and the MP5 still remains as a great weapon to use if you like to make those aggressive pushes towards enemy players. Next up, we have a change to something within Warzone that's going to massively boost up highly underused weapons in the game, like the Scar, the Foul, and the Odin. These kind of weapons, they previously possessed attributes that made them less desirable. The Odin, for example, it had a 20-round magazine by default, and that limited its power massively and made it extremely ineffective in Warzone, especially over longer ranges. Now, one of the changes in this mid-season update has been specifically targeted at these lesser chosen weapons to make them a lot more powerful, and that is a change in behavior for stopping power rounds. The damage increase when using stopping power now applies to headshots, And this means that for the Odin specifically, it will move from a 2-shot kill to a 1-shot kill to the head. That's right, you heard me correct. The Odin is now a 1-shot kill to the head when using stopping power, and that's kind of insane when you think about it. It makes an incredibly difficult weapon to use in certain situations into a very powerful weapon if you've got your enemy in your sights. If you've got someone in your squad who already likes using the Odin, then give them stopping power if you find it. Their ability to destroy someone if they've got good aim just went from pretty good to insanely good. And that's not only the change that's happening here. Stopping power was also a little bit bugged for other weapons, and it previously meant that less damage was being applied to headshots when stopping power was active, and clearly that wasn't supposed to be happening. That's now been fixed, so stopping power for all weapons should work properly, and it should do proper damage to headshots now. It's a really, really powerful pickup, and if you spot it, you should be using it. Besides automatic weapons though, some of the snipers in Warzone also got some changes in the mid-season update, with some interesting ones coming to the Kar98, the AX50, and the HDR, all three of them being very popular choices already in Warzone, and to be honest, these changes just make them even better for longer range shooting. The AX50 now has an increased damage range, and that translates to less shots being needed at longer range to take someone down, moving from 3 to 2 shots. This brings it closer in line with the HDR, which is my sniper of choice in Warzone, and in terms of long-range damage potential. You obviously still need to be good at hitting targets at range, learning how to lead shots, but the power is now there for you, and that makes it a much better choice than it was before. The HDR itself, that got a nice little buff. It can now guarantee a one-hit kill or takedown when you hit the lower torso when that player has no armor plates applied. And this means that a follow-up shot after cracking armor will almost always result in a takedown or a kill. And then the Kar98, that now has some increased ADS speed, a small reduction to hipfire spread, which you should only really be using if a player surprises you at about 3 meters in front of you, and then an increased damage range, and that makes it more competitive with some of the sniper rifles. And it kind of helps it bridge the gap out of the marksman rifle class. The Kar98 is almost like this semi-marksman, semi-sniper rifle, and it can fire a lot faster than some of the heavier sniper rifles, and that makes it a really decent option for players who maybe like to snipe, land a shot, and then push up and be more aggressive with an SMG or an assault rifle. Right then, moving on to some attachment changes now, because as much as it's important to know which weapons have been changed specifically, the attachments that you put onto them, or into them as the case may be, they can have a really big effect on the handling and the control and the feel of these weapons. So the first one is the no stock attachment. Now, this will increase weapon recoil and will decrease ADS aiming steadiness after the patch, and that makes the weapon a lot harder to control and keep on target now. The benefits in terms of moving speed, they're still there, so if you like your weapons to feel light and agile for movement purposes, then this is an attachment for you. But with longer range engagements in Warzone pushing you to keep your aim on target, this attachment is no longer going to be as lenient as it was before. I saw a lot of people running this on the M4, the Grau, the Kilo. I don't really think that's going to be happening anymore. You're probably wanting to push for something a bit different, as it's not going to operate in the same way. And then, we should talk about slug shotgun rounds. They've also gotten a buff with this update. Projectile velocity has been increased, ADS spread has been reduced, they've added dynamic hip spread, as well as increased damage range and increased lower torso damage. So overall, this is a straight buff to slug shotgun rounds. And then to round off the list today, we've got some smaller changes that are worth you knowing about. First of all, you should now receive less of the airspace is too crowded notice in Warzone. The developers have increased the max number of precision airstrikes that can be used in a specific distance restriction. You should now be able to call in 3 at once, which is a bit mental, meaning you can counter an airstrike if you've got one of your own, and even a third party can come along and join at the same time. I think this is going to up the chaos level, especially in 200-player quads. There's been an addition to the kill feed that's going to help out everyone, I think. There's been a team wipe notification added. The amount of times that I've been playing in quads and I've not known if the team we were facing has been wiped out or not is higher than I'd like to admit. So having this in the kill feed is definitely going to be helpful. The new Rytec AMR, that's live in the game. You can unlock it by getting 3 quickscope kills in 15 different rounds. And a quick tip for you, you can get the 3 quickscope kills and then quit the match and start another, and the game will track that previous match as you completing it. You don't have to finish the match, and that massively cuts down on the amount of time that it takes to unlock the thing. Personally, I think the Rytec is a bit of a meme. The explosive rounds against vehicles are pretty hilarious and really fun when you take someone out, and the thermite rounds that burn players after you hit them, if they're on low health, that can be really fun too. But overall, I don't really see it replacing my love for the HDR anytime soon, but it's certainly spicing up some of the gunfights right now in Warzone, and for that reason, I'm probably going to be running it exclusively for the next couple of weeks. And then last, but certainly by no means least, you might have noticed that long shot kills now display the distance in the points feed, which is a pretty cool touch. You can now confidently tell your squad mates how far away the enemy was that you just sniped in the head, which is awesome. So that's the mid-season update for Warzone Season 4. Plenty to try out with all the different changes and in the patch notes. I'm going to go full steam ahead with the new Rytec rifle at the moment, and I'm interested in carrying on trying out the Grau after the update. I really want to try for some of those longer range shots to see if I can really feel that nerf or not, but I'm just not convinced that the nerf has been anywhere near powerful enough. But thanks very much for watching. Leave me a rating and a comment, it is always appreciated, and I'll catch you in the next one.